Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Muhammadur Rasulullahi sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathiran kathira. From Abadu, my brothers and sisters, one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, to teach your children is to take from the treasures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu. And the essence of this begins with Tawheed, with teaching them that there is no one worthy of worship except Allah, and that there is no one whose help we should seek other than the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the essence of Iyyaka na'budu wa Iyyaka nasta'in. When we say Iyyaka na'budu, O Allah, we worship only you, we are automatically saying the opposite of that also, which is that, O Allah, we do not worship anyone other than you. We worship only you and we do not worship anyone other than you. That is Iyyaka na'budu. And when we say Iyyaka nasta'in, we seek help only from you, it automatically means we do not seek help from anyone other than you. Now this is a very important and critical element to understand, because the essence of what is shirk? Shirk is to worship Allah and something or someone along with Allah. It's not the denial. It's worship. It's not denying Allah. It is worshipping Allah but joining partners. So, for example, you also worship some saint or some angel or something, or even Na'udhu Billah Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who is you make sajda to him or you worship him, and this is in along with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Similarly, this is what the Quraysh used to say. They used to say that we don't worship those their gods. The gods will take us closer to Allah. So we make dua through somebody. We say to somebody in their grave. For example, you say, please make dua to Allah on my behalf. Please make dua for me. Please ask this for me from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. This is shirk. This is open shirk. This is something for which there is no evidence in the Quran and Sunnah. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not teach us to do this, and neither does Allah Subhanahu wa Taala permit us to do this. Allah Subhanahu wa Taala said, "Ud'uni astajib lakum." You ask me, I will give you. And Allah did not say, ask me through this or that, or ask somebody else to ask me and I will give you because that somebody else asked. No, we are not talking about asking somebody who is alive, somebody who is a living person to make dua. This is permissible. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radhiyallahu anhu, he said to him, please make dua for me. When we make the dua after adhan, we are making dua to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala for Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We are saying, oh Allah, give Ati Muhammadan al-wasilata wal-fadilata Qabasu maqama mahmuda. Oh Allah, give the great wasila, give intercession, give fadila, give great ranks, and give maqam mahmud to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So this is a dua we are making for the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We are alive, we are making dua for him. But to go to a grave, to whoever it is, including the grave of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself, to go to the grave and then to ask the occupant of the grave to say, please make dua for me, this is open shirk. And therefore, when we are saying Iyyaka na'budu, we are denying and we are negating this, and we are saying, oh Allah, we worship only you and we do not worship anyone other than you. So, worshipping Allah and not Ghairullah. And similarly, seeking help from Allah and not from Ghairullah, Iyyaka nasta'in. This is the key thing to be taught to our children. And as I said, we can only teach what we do. We can only teach what we know. They will see what we do. A very good friend of mine, whose little daughter was now about 18 months old or so, just about to stand. She's able to stand and a little bit of walking. This mother was telling me that every time they put out their musalla, the prayer mat, this little girl pulls on her hijab, and then she goes and she stands on the musalla facing the qibla, and she's folded her hands like this. No, mother says, her father and I, we did not teach her this. We did not teach her that she should stand in the musalla and she must fold her hand, they must do this. They didn't teach her anything. She learned. How did she learn? By watching, by looking. Children listen with their eyes, not with their ears. They listen with their eyes. The whole world listens with its eyes, incidentally. And people people don't care, and children don't care what we say until they see what we do. Similarly, I had there's a very good, another friend of ours, we were traveling once in his car somewhere in New York, and his little son, who was about, I think at that time his son was probably about 3 or 4 years old, maybe about 4 years old, he was in the back, and at one point the son said, he asked his father, he said, Baba, did Allah put in your heart? So I asked so the father replied, he said, yes, Allah put in my heart, I will take you. So I said, what is this conversation? Very interesting conversation between this little 4-year-old and his father. What is Allah supposed to put in your heart? So my friend, he laughed and he said, Yawar Baig, my wife and I, we teach him that anything he wants, he should ask Allah, right? Whatever it is. I mean, he wants a bar of chocolate. He comes to the mother, can I have chocolate? She says, you ask Allah. If Allah puts in my heart, I will give you. Right? Anything at all, we have taught him that he must ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says, this morning, I told him that I'm taking you, from where you are to the other place. And his friend lives on the way. So he asked me, can I come with you and can I go to my friend's house? So he said, as usual, I told him, you ask Allah, if Allah puts in my heart, I will take the exit, I will drop you. If Allah does not put in my heart, then you will just come along for the trip. So he's now asking me, he said, did Allah put in your heart? See, the whole thing is this, that, no matter what we like to say, the reality is that there is conditioning. There is conditioning in life. Your children are going to get conditioned by one way or the other. Somebody, somewhere, society, environment, schools, most importantly and most powerfully, the television, and of course whatever gadgets they have, everything conditions. So your safety net is to condition the child to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to love Islam, to practice Islam, before the child gets conditioned to do something else. So this condition, this pro-Islam conditioning, is the essence of good tarbiyah, right? And please don't fall into this trap of saying, oh, you see, the children should be left free to decide on their own. If children could decide on their own, then parents were not necessary. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not have created parents. Allah would not have given you the exalted position that He has given. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the Jannah for the child is beneath the feet of the mother. The father is the door of Jannah for the child. This is not because of biology, right? It's not because of biology. This is because of your effort in raising a child who knows Allah, raising a child who knows Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and raising a child whose heart is filled with the love and the hub of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his Habib and his messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you for raising children like that. If you are not raising children like that, if you are raising children who are who are rebellious, who have no clue about Allah or His Rasul or Islam or anything, then you're just biological parents. I mean, there is only mud under your feet. There is no Jannah under your feet. So the important thing to understand here is that this conditioning of the mind to make the child a pious human being, this is the primary and really the only responsibility of the parent. And this is what parenting should be about. So teach the children to take from the treasures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Teach the child that the key to the treasures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is salah. And that in any difficulty, he must seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through salah and experience the proximity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence in his life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرُكُمْ وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, therefore remember me, and that's by worshipping Allah, by salah, through dhikr, through tasbih and so on, and I will remember you. Remember me and I will remember you. And washkuruli wala takfurun, and be grateful to me, express gratitude to me, and I will and never be ungrateful. Washkuruli wala takfurun, and do not have kufran nemat, and do not be ungrateful to me. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a command, because as we know, all the all the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes from all orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any ayat which begins with Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, is a hukum of Allah. So we say, O you who believe, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, ista'inu bis-sabri was-salah. Seek help in sabr and salah. Inna Allaha ma'a sabirin. Truly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with the people who have sabr. Now when we look at this ayatul karima, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying this to us as a hukum. Allah is saying, seek help with sabr and salah. And this is what the child must be taught, that the way to go through life is to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help through salah. Now the child will therefore then learn how to stand in the night and take from the treasures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that will be spread before them. The child will experience the closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that he, Jalla Jalaluhu, listens when she calls him or he calls him. Very, very important for us to keep these things in mind, and this must be inculcated. As I said, the only way to do that is to do it yourself. The child will pray tahajjud when the child sees you praying tahajjud. The child will make dua when the child sees you making dua. The child will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and no one other than Allah when the child sees you, the mother and the father, doing the same thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah again, in the middle of the ayat related to Ramadan al-Kareem, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and when my slaves ask you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, concerning me, then answer them, I am indeed near them with my knowledge. I respond to the dua of the person, of the mudda'i, of the supplicant, when he calls on me without any mediators and without any shirk, without joining anybody with me. So let them obey me and let them believe in me so that they may be rightly guided. Now we understand the meaning of al-ihsan, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if we can see Allah, and to know that even though we cannot see Him, that He sees us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we do this, when we teach them this, to seek the closeness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the child will learn this and will see from our own life the demonstration of that in our lives, and Allah then Jalla Jalaluhu will become real to him. It's not just a name or something, it becomes real to him. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will become the most beloved of people to the child. The child will learn the value of following the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how that's a source of strength, because it's the only acceptable proof of his love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How will they learn that? By looking at you, by watching you, by observing you. And the child will learn to love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to feel proud of his identity as an ummati, as a person of the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The child will draw his own sense of identity and belonging from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and will experience the pleasure of instantly bonding with Muslims irrespective of the man-made boundaries of nationality and culture, bonding on the basis of the brotherhood that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam created, and which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala endorsed and ascribed to himself and his worship. See the beauty of this, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that, Allah said, Inna hadihi ummatukum ummatan wahida wa ana rabbukum fa'budun. In another place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna hadihi ummatukum ummatan wahida wa ana rabbukum fattaqun. Inna hadihi ummatukum ummatan wahida wa ana rabbukum fattaqun. So fa'budun and fattaqun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you, this ummah of yours, you are one people, you are one ummah, and I am your Rabb. What makes you one ummah? The fact that I am your Rabb. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala associated himself with the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to honor us, and Allah said, you are one people, and therefore, and I am your Rabb, so worship me, you're one people, I am your Rabb, so have taqwa, have my taqwa, be concerned only and only about pleasing me, be concerned only and only about obeying me, and not anything else. And this is what gives us strength, this is what makes us Muslim. This is our identity. Now, who are we? We are Muslim. What is Muslim? The one who obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The one who has submitted himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a Muslim. A Muslim is the one who has submitted himself or herself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A Muslim is one who has no desire other than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala desires for him or her. This is the message to be communicated and conveyed to our children. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes first. Everything else comes next. Allah comes first, everything else comes next. This is the key, this is the essence of the message that we need to convey to our children. And as I said, I'm sorry to keep repeating this, but there is no alternative. We have to repeat it again and again, so it gets into our skulls. The problem is not the children. The problem is the parents. The problem is the adult generation. It's our generation. This world is the way it is because of what we did, not because of the children. The children have just come into the world. They are inheriting this garbage heap that we are giving them. So let's make a lot of istighfar and a lot of tawbah, and we seek the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for not doing our duty. Right? If we had done our duty, if our parents had done their duty, then this world would have, and their parents had done their duty, this world would have been a very different place. But anyway, may Allah forgive all of them, and may Allah forgive us also. But let's try to do our best to ensure that at least we do our best to say that we did whatever we could do to hand over a world which was at least a little bit better than what we inherited. And the way to do that is, it begins with the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The one who does not recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recognizes nothing, is blind, is a completely blind individual. The one who does not recognize his own creator, what else does it matter what he knows or does not know, or what he recognizes and what he doesn't recognize, whether he is a mathematician or is a scientist or is a technologist or is an astronomer or he's whatever, makes no difference, because he does not recognize who his creator is. Right? We don't want to be like that. Alhamdulillah, Allah has given us Iman, but that doesn't simply end and begin with simply saying La ilaha illallah. Iman means that we recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's position in our lives, which is number one and supreme, and that is the thing to be communicated to children. Children must be taught how to make dua, right? So bring this into yourself and say, I will teach my child how to make dua. And how do you make dua? You make dua by connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You make dua by humbling yourself before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us this thing in the ayat of Surah Maryam, where Zakaria alayhi salam made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah said, Nida and Khafiya. He asked in a very small voice. So teach children how to make dua. Sit them by your side and say, raise your hand now, ask dua, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a humble voice. Ya Allah, oh Allah, I am yours, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ya Allah, I do not worship anyone other than you. Ya Allah, I do not ask help from anyone other than you. Ya Rabbal Alameen, give me. Ya Allah, I am your slave. I have nowhere to go. Ya Rabbal Alameen, you are the Rabbul Mustadafeen. You are the Rabbul Masakeen. You are the Rabbul Mazlumeen. You are the Rabbul Alameen. You are the Rabb, the creator, the protector, the sustainer of the poor, of the miskeen, of the one who has nothing, of the one who is weak, of the one who is oppressed. You are the Rabb of all of creation, all that we know and all that we don't know. Your strength, your power, your glory, your majesty, your treasures, nothing has any boundary. Everything is completely and totally boundless. Oh Allah, give me. Oh Allah, who am I? I am one, not even like a dot. Right? This whole earth is less than a grain of sand on a beach. On this earth is me, one individual, one dot. In that one individual, my whole life, there is this one need. Ya Rabbal Alameen, what is that need? For me, as this dot, it's something big. But for you, what is it? Allah, give me. Ya Rab, give me. Make your own there is of course a great blessing and virtue in doing the du'as which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us to do in the Quran. For example, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. One of the most beautiful and complete du'as that you can possibly make. Oh Allah, give us the best in this world and the best in the hereafter, and save us from the fire. رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا وَهَبْ لَنَا مِن لَّدُنكَ رَحْمَةً إِنَّكَ أَنتَ الْوَهَّابُ. Oh Allah, do not allow our hearts to change after you have guided us, and so on and so forth, and many du'as in the Quran. So there is great blessing in making these du'as. There is great blessing in making the du'as of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make du'a for every single thing in life. He made dua to enter the house, and we left the house and enter the masjid, leaving the masjid. Duas at the time of wudu, literally dua before going into the toilet, coming out of the toilet, dua before you start eating food, dua during eating food, dua after food. For every single thing, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make dua. And alhamdulillah, all of these du'as are preserved and we have them, so it's a very good thing to learn them and to make these du'as. But in addition to all that, the essence of dua is the direct connection between the abd and his Rabb, between the slave and his creator. And therefore never lose that. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your own words. Ask Allah to give you the words that He wants you to use to beg Him. Say, Allah, give me the words. What do you want me to say? Make me say those words. Because then those words are sure to be accepted, because these are coming to me from you. Ask Allah in your own words. Hasan Basri rahmatullahi alayhi was standing on his musalla to start his tahajjud prayer, and he said, Ya Rab, the whole world is sleeping. Even the stars have gone to sleep. There are only two who are awake. There is me here on this earth, and there is you on your arsh. Now, the thing is that this is the abd talking to his Rabb. This is the slave talking to his Rabb, and that's why it's so important to build this connection where we talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Teach the children in dua the most important, the very first dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayhi salam, our mother and father, our ancestors, our parents from whom all human beings are descended. The very first dua Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught a human being to say is what? رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا وَتَرْحَمْنَا لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. This is the key to Jannah. This is the key to the re-entry into Jannah from where we came. And what is that? Oh Allah, we have transgressed against ourselves. We have made zulm on ourselves. We are the oppressors and we are the oppressed. We have oppressed ourselves. Why? Committing sins. And oh Allah, if you don't forgive us, then we will be lost. Then we will be among the losers. We will be lost. Now see the beauty of this thing. This is the very first dua. What does that tell us? It tells us that all goodness starts with istighfar. All goodness starts with acknowledging that I am wrong. Right? Acknowledging that I am wrong. Teach your children not to hide what they do, because nothing is hidden from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, not to hide I don't mean go and announce it to the public. I am saying that try to understand this, that there is no such thing as a hidden sin. Every single thing is seen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Real time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there. وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. He said, I am with you wherever He is with you, wherever you are. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is witness to what we are doing. It is His helm, it is His sabr, it is His patience, it is His magnanimity that Allah does not immediately punish us. Allah does not immediately send His punishment on us, even when we openly and blatantly sin and openly and blatantly we defy Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's authority. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leaves us alone. He doesn't immediately punish us. But this must not make us, within quotes, brave. That would be very, very foolish, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the power to instantly punish if He wants to. The fact that He did not do that one time doesn't mean that He cannot do that. So this is something that children must be taught, that if you ever make a mistake, immediately own up before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is where all goodness starts. All goodness starts with owning up that I am wrong. And then, after istighfar, is tawbah, is to turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Stop doing that. Because istighfar without tawbah is a lie. I say I'm sorry, but I'm doing the same thing again. Then how am I sorry? What is this sorry? So if I am sorry, if I am truly sorry, then I must stop doing whatever it is that I was doing, whatever negative stuff I was doing, I must stop doing that. Otherwise, the whole business of sorry has no meaning. So this is something to be taught, and this is something to be inculcated, this is something to be practiced and demonstrated to our children. The beginning of all goodness is istighfar and tawbah, which is to turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then teach them to ask Allah for everything, whatever they want and whatever they have. This is the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And teach them that this comes with salah. Absolute adherence to praying at its correct time, ensuring that you pray and you don't delay the salah, and that you put your whole being into the salah. You put your entire concentration and your dedication into the salah. This is the absolute fundamental boundary. Just think about this. How much time do we spend in teaching our children these things? For the vast majority of people, the parents don't even teach the children this. Children learn just by watching, and at the most you will have your local imam from the masjid or somebody who comes and teaches the child how to pray, and that's it. Where is the child going to get this sense of being in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this sense of al-ihsan, where Rasulullah said to worship Allah as if you can see Him. And ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tara, fa illam takun tara fa innahu yarak. And though you cannot see Him, know that He is seeing you. Where are they going to get this sense from? Unless they see it in the behavior of their parents. And to extend that, it's not only an ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tara, is to worship Allah as you can see, but also to do everything in our lives as if Allah is seeing us, and we know that Allah is seeing us even though we cannot see Him. So our conversations, our social life, our business, our work, how we treat each other, how we treat especially those who have less than we do. So how you treat servants, how you treat people who take care of you and your needs in your home, right? Then extending further, how do we treat the environment? How do we treat if you are in a place where there is a garden, how do you treat the garden? How do you treat, if you have pets, how do you treat the pets? It goes throughout, which all is because we are saying that here is this deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where we are focusing on something which is beneficial, and in the sense of the framework is that everything I do with the awareness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me. And that is the beauty of this deen, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to live it and to practice it to perfection. This is what must be inculcated in children, that the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their lives. I want to close with this thing. There's two very major benefits of this. When a person is aware, and when you are aware, when I am aware, when our children are aware of the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, real time presence of Allah in our life, that Allah is with me, Allah is watching me, Allah is looking at me, Allah is with me. And this is not a figment of my imagination. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said this. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. Allah said He is closer to you we are closer to you than your jugular vein. وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. Allah is with you wherever you are. Two major benefits. First big benefit is that it is protection from sin. A person who is aware of the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his or her life is incapable of committing sin. He will never do anything wrong. And if something happens, if something by our human weakness, if we do something wrong, then immediately we will seek forgiveness of Allah. We will make istighfar and tawbah. And the second big benefit is it gives you huge confidence. You say, my Rabb is with me, my Allah is with me. Who can harm me? What can harm me? Nothing can harm me. Nothing can do anything, and nothing bad can happen to me because my Rabb is with me. My Allah is with me. And this is a very, very important thing to cultivate in our hearts and minds, and to bring this into our children's hearts and minds. And that is by constantly mentioning and talking about the greatness and glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our lives, in ordinary everyday things, continuously, right? It begins simply by saying Bismillah for everything. Say Alhamdulillah. Something goes wrong, we say Astaghfirullah. Something about the future, we say Insha'Allah. Right? Make this into an absolutely, these are things which we must continuously and constantly do, and inshallah thereby inculcate the sense of the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our lives. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyil kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin.